Hi everybody, it's Victor here again, and I'm with my dear friend Rita. Hi Rita,
Hello. Hi. Happy to be here.
happy to be here speaking to you again. How is the weather in down in Lisbon?
It's actually reasonably not too hot, so 26 degrees Celsius. Not sure how much that is in Fahrenheit, but it's very reasonable. But over
It's
there,
same here. It's a very reasonable day, very like really blue sky here.
mm-hmm,
I can see any. It's really a beautiful day up here.
too makes me happy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And I'm excited to talk to you, Rita, about this topic that, I guess it's like trending now related to those changes that the Portuguese government is starting to. Actually, there is a proposal, right, to change the current laws here in Portugal related to immigration. I'm
Yes.
excited to talk about it.
I think it's very important. People who are in the process of getting their seven visas, their DA visas, the D resident visas, they want to know what's going on, right? Or even people who are just beginning to think about this path are starting to hear, oh, Portugal is changing the immigration laws, and understand how it can be concerning. If you think about the world trend of what's going on with immigration and right-wing government, it is normal to kind of, let's say, panic. But in order not to panic, I feel like we have to talk about the facts, what is actually going on, to understand that maybe you shouldn't panic. I think we have to see exactly what they're changing to be able to understand if that's going to affect you.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Rita. And when we watch the news, it's very usual for us to see some shocking information of that's because
Mhm.
of course they want to sell the news and want people to
Yes.
click to see what's going on based on their view. And one good thing that we are here, Rita, is that we do live here in Portugal and we can share our view on regarding all of those changes, if they make
Hmm.
sense, if
Yep.
not. And maybe it makes sense, Rita, to talk about those changes individually so we can discuss a little bit and tell what we think about those proposals actually, right? It's not that they are already in place. They're in the process to get approved because I guess there is this last stage where the president needs to sanction those proposals to become law. But it seems that those changes they will take place. So let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, it's likely they will be put into effect. Maybe, we don't want to get too political here. That's really very sensitive, but I think it's important to understand why these changes are coming about right now. Again, this is my opinion from what I've been seeing and discussing with other people. The present government in Portugal is feeling a little bit pressured by right-wing party called Chega, who is pressuring, to put these laws into effect. But Chega doesn't have full power, but they are influencing a little bit as to, balancing out the country in terms of immigration. That's what they want. And, the current government don't want to lose their supporters to Chega. So this is my opinion again. So I
No, no,
think they
makes sense.
believe that they have to come to an agreement. Okay.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's why it's coming about right now.
I agree with 100%. And to start, we can talk about one of those changes,
Yes.
and that's related to the job seeker visa. So basically, with this new law, there will be some kind of restriction in regards to those who can apply for the job seeker visa, because in the past, anyone who applied for this visa would be able to come to Portugal, look for a job, and if they were able to find one to be hired to work here in Portugal, they could convert that visa to a residence permit. Nowadays, only some specific professionals they will be able to apply for this job seeker visa, mainly those who are considered highly skilled professionals.
Hmm.
And that at least for me, that shows that Portugal wants to attract some sort of professionals to Portugal. That, of course, will help the country to develop and bring some talents to Portugal. It's always good, but leaving behind those who are not that skilled in some specific areas, I don't, at least this is also my opinion, I don't think that this can be sustainable for the long run,
Me
because
neither.
yeah, it's very obvious that here in Portugal there's a lackage of professionals in some areas, such as food industry,
Construction,
construction,
like
and
lots of manual work, right?
exactly. So for the long term, Portugal will have to deal with this situation where there's not so many people here working in these fields,
Yeah.
right?
Honestly, what I think is they're going to close this right now, right? I think it'll be probably sanctioned by the president. And some time's going to go by and they're going to open it again. Because this is also all our personal opinion here, but because like you said, they already have a lack of people working in the food industry. They already need people in construction, other areas where they're not going to be able to have the workers from other countries. They really close, and I think that they're not going to sustain this as well. Also, I think it's interesting to note that they said that so now if you want to apply for the job seeker, you need to be a highly qualified professional. If you look into, at least tell me if I'm wrong, Victor, but try to find for the job seeker visa, try to find what is considered a highly qualified professional, specifically for this category. I have found nothing. Like, they don't specify what that means exactly. Which areas does that mean? I haven't found it anywhere, even in the, government website. So to me, that just means something like you need to have a degree, like a bachelor's degree. I don't know if you have more information about this.
Actually, I read the news that they are going to still let us know what is a highly
Oh,
qualified professional. The same. So we are in a situation where we don't know whom are these professionals. And when the law comes to place and becomes effective, we still will be in this grayish area where we, don't know what kind of professionals will be able to apply for this visa. It leads to uncertainty, and that's bad for the country. That's not good.
yep,
Um,
agree.
I don't want to take much of your time here, but it's a Portuguese thing that salaries here are not as high as you can find in Spain, in France,
Yes.
Italy. And those professionals are looking for better conditions, for better opportunities in Europe. So we have to keep them in Portugal because they are really important. But if we don't have a good salary, and also we are making it more complicated for them to stay here.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely against this. I don't think it's a good move for Portugal.
So, talking about the next change, it is related to the family reunification. This is a controversial one as well.
Yep.
Basically, nowadays, if someone applies for a visa and the visa is granted, they can come to Portugal here as a family. So if all of the family unit apply together, or maybe if there is just one member of the family who wants to come to Portugal and then live here for the future to bring the rest of the family, that's possible. They would have to apply for the family reunification. They come first and then bring their family. Nowadays, there is no gap or no time frame for when family member comes to Portugal and then bring the family over. This applicant would only need to receive his or her permit to live here and then could call for the family. Okay, so moving on to the next topic that is related to the family reunification. So not only the job seeker, but also the family reunification rules, they have changed because just so you...
Or will change, right? Are about to change.
They
Yeah.
are about, exactly, sorry.
Yeah.
You were right, Rita. They will likely change. And but basically nowadays, if someone applies for a visa, this person can come to Portugal alone or with family. He or she can bring their family to Portugal to live together. But if they come alone, they can bring their family later. Basically, this person would come to Portugal, receive the permit, and only then they would be able to call for the family. So, and this would be done through the family reunification process. It's quite popular, not all family come to Portugal together. Sometimes one of the family members want to explore to see if that's good for the family, to see maybe decide on where to live and so on.
I also think sometimes one family member will apply for the visa by themselves, and then so that they can come here and like get all that, all the things in place, like the house, search for the school, get everything ready. And then, okay, they get their permits and they can do the family reunification, right? So that's the way it is.
True.
Lots of times.
Yeah, and so nowadays there is no gap between the date that you receive your permit here in Portugal and that you start your family reunification. You can do it right away. No waiting time.
Oh, and also it's good to mention, like, the family members don't even have to do it from their home country. They can actually come into Portugal as tourists. So it's really quite easy in that way and do the process in country.
Exactly. It used to be a simple process. Of course, there is always the need for either the family member or some agency that you hire to schedule the appointment date at IMA, and this used to be the challenging part of the process, but still that will likely to persist, because what changed in this process is that this person who comes to Portugal before family would have to wait for 2 years living here to call up for the family to join. So there is this waiting time that Portugal understands that's important for those people to live here before calling for the family to join.
I believe, Victor, there is an exception for minor children.
I guess, yes, for minors, it's true. It's in the proposal for minors.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think the reason they added this time was to make sure that this person would really want to live here and not just calling up for the family to join quickly. They want to make sure you establish your routes here in Portugal.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of cases of people who come by themselves and then later on family does the reunification. And I think that still happens a lot. Just to make it really clear, so let's say you're a family and you're applying for a D7, can either apply all together, all at the same time. You have the main applicant and the two people who are under that visa, right? Can be a spouse or, a child who's under 18. You're applying together all at the same time, two people doing family reunification. One is the main applicant, but it's all at the same time. That is still normal. You can still do that. This new law that they're trying to implement will not affect that situation, that scenario. So that's one scenario that's not changed. The other one is, again, a family of 3. Only one person applies, one adult comes over, and then this person, after getting their permit, would be able to bring their family over. That will not be possible anymore. One person that comes over will have to live here for 2 years before they can bring the rest of the family. Sorry, just to reiterate, because it's a bit confusing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It is confusing, yes. And thank you for your clarification, Rita. And this is the second change that worth talking about. There are some changes in this proposal, but we will focus only on those who really we can see a direct impact on those who are planning to move to Portugal. I'll talk later about if those changes they will really impact visa applications, for example, or if the points of contact are really small. We'll talk a little about those changes if people who are planning to move to Portugal should be scared of those new rules that will likely to take place. But the last one that I would like to talk about is related to the nationality process. Currently, if you live in Portugal for 5 years, you can apply for the citizenship, for the Portuguese citizenship. You will have to do a basic Portuguese language exam. I guess it's an A2 level exam.
Yes.
And
Yeah, that's right.
then they can apply for the citizenship, and in about, say, 2 years after the application, they can become a Portuguese citizen. So the government wants to change that and to increase the waiting time from 5 to 10 years for people that are not from countries that speak Portuguese, basically, and that will, change the current scenario. So, and this is another change. I guess this one is the one that people are talking more, because for some people, the citizenship is the main goal. I can tell you that, for example, for those who apply for the golden visa, that they don't really aim to move to Portugal, but they are looking for the citizenship. That change will certainly impact their plans.
Yeah, certainly. You have different types of people who apply for visas, right? If you have the profile, I see a lot of, which is, I want to relocate to a country where it's safer, where I'll have better health care, where, my pension or my social security payment will go further, will be more valued. That's your profile. This new law where you cannot get the passport you can't apply for that passport in 5 years, really shouldn't change. It shouldn't impact you that much, because in 5 years of being a temporary resident, you can't apply for citizenship and get that EU passport, but you can apply for permanent residency, which is, a 5-year permanent resident card that you can have. And there are many benefits to that. You can, so what I'm saying is, if that's your profile, if you want a better quality life, then this nationality law, really, I don't see a big impact. Of course, if you have more of a profile of someone applying for the golden visa, not really looking to move right now, you want to have that EU passport, certainly that's going to impact your decision of whether you want to still pursue this kind of visa. Just as a note, I do believe, many people are like, oh, this is so sad, it's absurd what Portugal is doing. And I can see that. But also Portugal, I believe, please tell me if I'm wrong, Victor, I may be wrong, but is the last, what I want to say is many other countries already require 10 years to get that passport. I don't know. Maybe we should have researched before if there's another country where you could get that EU passport sooner. Do you know?
I don't think so, Rita. I still need to double check this information, but I can tell you for sure that most people, they have this 10 years waiting time to apply for the citizenship nowadays. Europe, UK, Spain, so those countries, they require 10 years. And I agree with you, Rita. If the main goal is to move to a country where you can feel safe, you can just have a lower cost of living, if you want a beautiful city with some blue sky, Portugal is still the same place. And just moving back to what we talked before related to those rules and the impact that will take on people's decision to move to Portugal, for me, it's really clear that Portugal is still the same in regards to how easy or hard it is to move to this country. For those who want to live here, D7 visa rules are the same. The D8 rules are the same. The people who will analyze your visa application, they haven't changed. The whole system is the same. It's just that Portugal is trying to organize the whole immigration situation here. That for some people, it was really open to, you mentioned the expression of interest, where people could just come to Portugal, find a job, and then become legal. That led to many people coming to Portugal.
Yes.
And I mean, there are some pros and cons, of course. But what seems to be the reason why this is happening is that Portugal wants to take over control on immigration. And
Yeah.
I agree with you, Rita. This, on the long term, they will have to reevaluate to see
Oh, yeah.
that will lead to more control or to less people coming to Portugal, people to
Yes.
work on some industries. But if I were someone who was aiming to move to Portugal due to the pros that this country can provide to you, I wouldn't change my opinion just for those changes. At least this is my point of view. I don't know if you agree with it.
No, I do. And I think there's a pressure for Portugal to align with like broader EU trends. It's like they kind of have to align a little bit. It is an EU member. So I do believe that has an impact in what's going on as well. I do agree that if you're moving for better quality of life, it's still a good move. I think it's important also to talk about something that's been going around, which is people are fearful that there's kind of like this government change reflects on how the Portuguese are viewing people coming over, Americans moving over, English moving over, all nationalities. But I feel like people are now a bit like, oh no, are we not welcome anymore? Is there an anti-immigration, feeling in the air? And I live in Lisbon, and I go to restaurants and I walk around and I see what's going on, and I have not felt like there's any kind of difference in terms of like an anti-immigration feeling in the air. I haven't felt that. What was I going to say? There are things that are very concerning to Portuguese people, which is there's sometimes I see, protests that have to do with the housing crisis, for sure. Prices going up, salaries are not high enough for the way that the prices are going up. That's a fact. Yes, I do see that. At least around here, I haven't seen any kind of big protests against immigrants coming over. So I think that's important to, to tell people about our experience living here, because people are getting scared. Like, should I go? Am I not welcome? So
I agree, Rita, 100%. I live in the north part of Portugal, and just like you, I mean, if I go to the streets, I see people from everywhere. Here in Lisbon, it's even more evident. But here in Porto, you can see that Portugal is becoming more and more and more of a cosmopolitan place. And my suggestion is, if you're afraid that those changes will lead to Portugal becoming more strict, my suggestion is for you to come over as a tourist if possible.
Oh, yes.
Do your analysis by yourself. You go see people on the street, go see places, and you have a better idea on what it is Portugal nowadays. But I agree with you, Rita, that those changes, me being an immigrant, they didn't change my overall view about the country. I know that there are some issues, as you mentioned, here in Portugal. It's not a perfect place.
No, of course not. No, of course not.
But overall, I still think it's a good country to live in, and that those changes, they are not changing the overall immigration system and the willing for bringing people to Portugal. It's still there.
I would say the majority of Portuguese are very welcoming and will help you. Of course, it's just common sense. You don't need to speak Portuguese, but learn the greetings. Say your good morning, bom dia. Say hola. Try to say the basic greetings. And people will appreciate that. Most Portuguese people are very welcoming. I still think they are mostly peaceful and welcoming. You see all kinds of people everywhere, right? Yeah. So there may be one or two or a group of people who don't like it, but I don't think it's majority. I don't feel like it's a majority of people.
Me neither, Rita.
Yeah.
I guess we could cover the most important topics related to those changes. I have this feeling that people are still scheduling meetings, just for instance here in Viv Europe, because they are still interested in moving to Portugal. I don't want to take much of your time as well, Rita, because I know we have a full schedule of meetings, people wanting
Yep.
to come to Portugal.
Yes.
So people are still in the mood of moving to Portugal, and
Worth it. All right, Victor, thanks so much. I hope we helped some people out there.
hope so.
And if
Hope so.
anybody has any doubts or comments, you can send us an email or comment, whatever you wish.
Thank you, Rita. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.